Thank you so much for joining us one more time on Reflections. I am your host, Dr. Sherwin Remy. Over the past few weeks, we have been addressing the issue of anger. And as I was preparing myself today, this scriptural verse came to mind. It's found in Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 13. And it simply says, "Whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will find mercy." I find this to be very foundational to what I would want to share today because it points us to the fact that if you are not willing to come to terms with the fact that you have an issue, in this case with anger, and you are saying everything's fine with me and you are blaming others and you want to conceal that transgression, then you will remain in that perpetual state of what I would call blindness and denial. However, on the other hand, if you're willing to confess, embrace, accept, admit that you do have a problem, and adding to that, you're willing to forsake that behavior, then you will find mercy. And so we have been using the acronym HELP, to give some structured definition and process as we address this issue. The first thing that we must look at in L is the word look. And look is really what starts the process because look points us to introspection. I would want to challenge us to do what I call the mirror test, where we actually stand in front of a mirror and we look at ourselves and we begin to do some personal introspection. It's like doing a personal inventory where you look at yourself and you begin to list what you see, and it puts you to a place where we go to the second L, learn. You look and you learn. And what you learn about yourself is not always going to be nice. It's not always going to be things that you feel comfortable with, but that is so critically important in the process. Thirdly, and very important, you got to be loyal to the process. You can't at this stage turn your back on the progress that has been made thus far. You got to stay focused and loyal to the process. You must. Another critical point is you got to understand love. You got to love yourself in spite of what you see. It is found that people most of the times who are struggling with issues of anger are struggling with self-acceptance. They do not like what they see. And after you would have done that mirror test, you really might not like what you see. But you got to begin to learn to love yourself in spite of your transgressions. Critical to the process is if you love yourself, you can love others and you can embrace the love that God has for you. Another critical point is that you got to live life. You got to wake up every day and live life. You cannot afford to allow life to live you. And what am I saying? You cannot allow yourself to be moved from one physical and emotional place of peace or of coming to terms with the process and a trigger word or the environmental factors around you or the environmental logistics around you cause you to just flip from one place into that anger mode. Again, it's unhealthy. And you have to determine and come to terms with the fact that today I am going to live life. I am going to have some sense of control. Another factor that you may not see as important is that you got to learn to laugh. You got to laugh at yourself. You got to laugh at other people. You got to laugh at circumstances and situations. You got to find something to laugh at. Whether you're a young person, a teenager, an adult struggling with anger, you got to find something to laugh about. I'm about to say something that is very critical, and I want for us to wrap our emotional mindset around this. And I would want to refer to this as the art of leaving. You got to know that because anger could be so volatile and has the potential to be so dangerous, to be so debilitating, to create an atmosphere that can become threatening to personal safety and well-being, that you may have to leave. A good mediator may, at some point in time, even in the counseling process, ask one party to leave the physical environment. So sometimes it may require someone leaving the physical environment. It may not always be easy because of finances and other factors, but sometimes that is what is necessary to go to the next stage of the healing process. I want to point this art of leaving, and I want to focus specifically on the agitator. You got to learn to leave the bad influence and the bad behavior behind. And that is why it says you have to learn to forsake your transgression. And that may mean you leave to hold on to. So you leave anger to hold on to peace. You leave the storm in your life and the storm that you're creating to go into holding on to calmness. And that is what mercy does. It brings you into a place of grace where you leave that which is counterproductive and you hold on to that which is productive. That's the art of leaving. I want to encourage you to respond to what was said today. I need to get your feedback. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. Give us your genuine feedback. Send us the messages. It helps me to prepare better as I go to the next stage. I am Dr. Sherwin Rini. Thank you so much for being a part of today's session on reflections. May the grace and peace of God be with you. Thank you for viewing.